Fallujah, a city once known for its vibrant markets and mosques, became the epicenter of the fiercest urban combat the United States military faced since Vietnam. The year was 2004, and Fallujah had become a stronghold of insurgent terror. This is the story of how US Army soldiers and Marines fought side by side to retake this city and strike a major blow against an unrelenting enemy. After the US-led invasion of Iraq in 2003, Fallujah, once a relatively peaceful city, became a breeding ground for insurgents. The city, known for its vibrant markets and bustling streets, quickly transformed into a war zone. The invasion disrupted the daily lives of its residents, leading to widespread chaos and instability. The once thriving community faced a new reality, filled with fear and uncertainty. In early 2004, the situation escalated to a breaking point. The streets of Fallujah, which had once been filled with the sounds of commerce and daily life, now echoed with gunfire and explosions. The presence of coalition forces was met with fierce resistance from insurgent groups, leading to intense urban combat. The city became a battleground, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. Insurgent leaders, including foreign fighters, used Fallujah as their fortress, launching deadly attacks against coalition forces. These fighters were well equipped and highly motivated, turning the city into a stronghold of resistance. They utilized the urban landscape to their advantage, setting up ambushes and using guerrilla tactics to inflict maximum damage. The coalition forces found themselves in a relentless and brutal fight for control. The brutal killing and mutilation of 4 American contractors in March 2004 sent shockwaves across the world. This gruesome act was a stark reminder of the volatility and brutality of the conflict. The contractors were ambushed, their vehicles destroyed, and their bodies subjected to horrific violence. The images of the aftermath were broadcast globally, highlighting the dire situation in Fallujah. Their bodies were dragged through the streets, hanged from bridges, a symbolic defiance against US power. This act of defiance was not just a message to the United States, but to the entire world. It underscored the deep-seated animosity and the lengths to which insurgents were willing to go. America had to respond. The US military launched a series of operations aimed at regaining control of the city, leading to some of the most intense and destructive battles of the Iraq War. By November 2004, the US military was ready. The preparation had been intense, with months of planning and coordination. Every detail was scrutinized, every possible scenario considered. The stakes were high, and the mission was clear. Operation Phantom Fury, also known as the Second Battle of Fallujah, was launched. This was not just another mission, it was a decisive moment in the Iraq War. The goal was to retake Fallujah, a city that had become a symbol of insurgent resistance. The mission? Retake the city, destroy the insurgent stronghold, and break the back of enemy forces. The insurgents had turned Fallujah into a fortress, and the US military was determined to dismantle it piece by piece. Over 10,000 US troops, composed of US Marines, Army soldiers, and coalition allies, prepared to enter the lion's den. The coalition forces were united in their resolve, knowing that this battle could turn the tide of the war. The fight ahead was anything but conventional. Urban warfare presented unique challenges, with every street and building potentially hiding deadly threats. The soldiers had to be vigilant, their senses sharp as they moved through the city. Insurgents had fortified homes, streets, and buildings. They had created a network of defenses that turned the city into a labyrinth of danger. Each step forward was met with fierce resistance. Snipers were perched high above. IEDs lined the roads. The insurgents used every tactic at their disposal to slow the advance of US forces. The soldiers had to be constantly aware of their surroundings, knowing that danger could come from any direction. The city itself became a maze of death. The destruction was everywhere, with buildings reduced to rubble and streets littered with debris. The soldiers pressed on, determined to complete their mission despite the overwhelming odds. Fallujah turned into a brutal test of survival. The city, once bustling with life, became a battlefield where every corner held a potential threat. The streets, now filled with debris and destruction, echoed with the sounds of conflict. Insurgents fought with everything they had: mortars, grenades, snipers. They were relentless, using every tactic at their disposal to push back the advancing forces. The insurgents' knowledge of the city gave them a significant advantage, allowing them to strike from hidden positions. They used tunnels to ambush troops and melted into the city's maze of homes and alleys. These underground networks allowed them to move undetected, setting up deadly traps and ambushes. Navigating these narrow, winding paths was a constant challenge for the soldiers. Soldiers and Marines had to adapt quickly, relying on house-to-house clearing, known as MOUT, military operations on urban terrain. This method required meticulous planning and execution, as each building could hide enemies or booby traps. The troops had to be vigilant, moving cautiously from one structure to the next. US forces used brute force, precise strategy, and unwavering determination. Their training and discipline were put to the test as they faced an enemy that was both resourceful and determined. The soldiers' ability to adapt and strategize in real time was crucial to their success. Tanks and Bradleys smashed through barricades. These armored vehicles provided much-needed support, breaking through obstacles that would have otherwise halted the troops' advance. Their presence was a game-changer, offering both protection and firepower. Close air support from AC-130 gunships and F/A-18ES gave them an edge. The aerial bombardments were precise, targeting insurgent strongholds and providing cover for ground forces. This coordination between air and ground units was essential in gaining control of the city. But even with superior firepower, every street felt like a trap. The urban environment was unforgiving, with danger lurking around every corner. Soldiers had to remain constantly alert, aware that any misstep could be fatal. The battle for Fallujah was not just a test of strength, but of endurance and resilience. One of the battle's most intense moments came at Fallujah's iconic Al-Anbar Mosque. Insurgents used the holy site as a command center. A coordinated assault by US troops secured the area, breaking a critical line of resistance. US troops also faced booby-trapped buildings and tunnel networks designed to kill or maim. Yet day after day, the insurgents' grip weakened. After 2 weeks of relentless combat, Fallujah's resistance began to collapse. By late November, US forces declared Fallujah secured. Over 1,200 insurgents were killed and dozens captured. The operation was a strategic victory, crippling the insurgency's morale and power. But victory came at a heavy price. 95 brave American servicemen lost their lives. Hundreds more were wounded. For the soldiers and Marines who fought there, Fallujah would forever remain a defining moment of courage, sacrifice, and resolve. The Battle of Fallujah was more than just a military victory. It was a testament to the bravery and perseverance of US troops who fought against overwhelming odds and never gave up. It highlighted the complexities of urban warfare and set a precedent for future battles. To those who fought and to those who fell, we remember and honor your sacrifice.